Had a guy come up behind me and unzip my suit, which wouldn't have been so bad if the zipper didn't go all the way down to the bottom of my.
Cosplayers, what is your cringiest experiences at conventions? I was dressed as Edward Elric, friend was dressed as Envy from FMA. The show was still super popular back then and glomping was a thing. Some girl ran up behind me at top speed and jumped on my back, and I'm tall, not short like Ed, and bashed me into a table and brought me to my knees. It was horribly embarrassing, and painful. Glomping is the worst thing people can do and I don't know why they think it's okay.
What is glomping? Sounds sexual.
Glomping is essentially when someone runs at you full speed and jumps into your arms, or jumps on your back and clings on. Some people even do it without their target knowing it's going to happen and you get the result of ops post. It's usually posted around in the generic rules listing at big conventions, no glomping. Along with, cosplay is not consent. Some girl asks me to sing a duet in the karaoke room which I agree to. 30 seconds in and I realize that it's some anime song that is sung in Japanese, and it's 8 minutes long. Longest and most cringiest 8 minutes of my life while butchering the Japanese language in front of an audience. Karaoke doesn't work unless you already know the song.
I think you mean when you already know the song.
I think you mean when you're drunk.
More funny than cringy, but my husband doesn't really attend cons anymore because he feels he's too old for them. Before he stopped going, we attended Anime Central in 2002 in Chicago. We passed by a group of Harry Potter cosplayers wearing striped scarves and my husband turned to me and said, "It's good to know kids still like Doctor Who."
I need to know how everyone reacted. Did the cosplayers hear him? The kids probably went Doctor Who? I was cosplaying as Red X from Teen Titans and I had this 16-year-old girl dressed as Raven follow me around and try and get me to kiss her all day long. I was 20 at the time. Edit, I didn't kiss her by the way.
That's not very Raven. So not Raven. I dressed as Rose Quartz from Steven Universe and a neckbeard type guy sort of dressed as a character from the same show approached me by coming up right behind me and said Rose my waifu while I was talking to a vendor. He had the greasiest hair I have ever seen and really bad BO. He asked for a pic and I said okay and then he asked to pose with me kissing his cheek and I said no. He got upset and said that I had to because he loved Rose blah 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 and I didn't know how to disengage. Funnily enough, a Pearl cosplayer intervened and told him to beat it.
Well, at least it fit the plot, I guess. Jesus Christ. Cosplayers should all carry bear mace. I was cosplaying a popular children's show character, Buster from Arthur. A mom tried flirting with me in front of her child after taking the photo. "Want you doing later? Wanna grab a coffee?" The worst I've seen? This guy fully walks up to this girl and cups her breast. He wanted to see if they were real.
I don't get why there aren't more people getting punched in the face at cons because that's exactly what I'd do if some random person came up and groped me. I've never been to a con. I'd love to go and cosplay but I'd be afraid of people doing stuff like that. Especially after reading some of the stories in this thread. Those kinds of things are rare. If you're curious about it, find a friend to go with you. Also, most cons have security and a very clear harassment policy. They can and will kick out creeps if you report them.
I dressed up as Abraham Lincoln to go see the Lincoln movie. My buddy dressed up as John Wilkes Booth. I had an extremely emotional interaction with a man of color as he thanked me for abolishing slavery. That in itself wasn't cringy. What was cringy was that everyone thought I was weird for dressing up. You dressed up as Lincoln and went to a theater to see a film about Lincoln who got shot in a theater. That's the ultimate cosplay. It did get a bit awkward when his friend got a little too into his character.
A local theater was doing weekly reruns of all the Harry Potters one summer, so me and my friend planned to go see one. I dressed up, and got a lot of weird looks, even from those in the HP movie. The plus side is I got in for free, because I was the only one who had dressed up. Edit for clarification, the theater in question is a smaller theater, and it continues to play movies after release to DVD or Blu-ray. It's only $5 to see a movie there, and a manager came up to me and handed me a certificate for a free movie.
When I was in college, I went to a small cosplay event wearing a cardboard box that says Gundam on it. This middle-aged suburban mom stopped me and looked to her fedora-wearing college-age son, and asked him in an almost baby voice, "Do you want to take a picture with the Gundam?" I agreed to it, but I felt like a birthday party mascot getting a picture with the kids. Except this kid was about my age. Further back, in high school, my at-the-time girlfriend and I went to a cosplay gathering. I made some comment about Macross Frontier, it's a show about pretty boys and giant robots or something along those lines. I still haven't finished that show, and then some neckbeard with 10 years on us felt the need to sit down by us, whip out his laptop, and pull up 4chan to school us on mecha anime. In his mind, boy,
you gonna learn today.
Had small cake pieces with me for friends, carried it in an open plastic box in my hands. In the tram to the convention I met an older lady, we started talking about my costume and why all these funny looking people are here for and so on. While I explained it to her, she was suddenly looking for something in her handbag, pulled out a small plastic spoon and helped herself with my cake while listening to me. I was too confused to say anything and let her finish. I even jumped out of the tram station earlier because I was worried about more cake being eaten. Weird story, but looking back now I should have offered her more. I don't know what it takes to make you eat a stranger's cake in a tram without asking first if you can have some.
No, you shouldn't have. She stole some of your cake without asking first.
Cake thieves should be taken into custody.
Can I be the cringe? I cosplayed Naruto when I was 13 and a Sasuke cosplayer who was 14 made out with me, which was basically biting my mouth. It went semi-viral on YouTube to the point where I was offered money. I had forgotten about the video until that email, and then decimated my whole YouTube account when I was 15 to 16. Good lord, I was a horrible weeb. I have so many stories.
Link? That sounds hilarious DBH.
Edit, for those asking for a link, I deleted the entire YouTube account that the video was on and made sure that the video was gone. If you want to root around for it, it was called something along the lines of Epic Sasunaro Makeout, Battle for Dominance.
Went to Akanazuko from Avatar. An Aang cosplayer approached me excitedly to talk about the show, but after 10 minutes, pulled out his phone and wanted me to read their X-rated Avatar, Aang/Katara FYI, fanfic. Proceeded to tell me how long he's been working on the fic, and how he was planning out the rest of the story to have books like the show itself. This thing looked to be novel length by this point. I politely excused myself and left, but this guy found me on FB later on and sends me NSFW Avatar fan art every now and then. Ugh.
Well, that's disgusting. You should post a link so we can all laugh at it. Cringy and hilarious. So at my first con I was dressed as Silk Spectre 2, comic book version. I was still using my cane because I was only a year out from my accident, and this guy decides that obviously I'm his one true love or something and I'm not able to hustle away fast enough to escape easily. I lose him a few times, but he keeps popping up hitting on me and making comments about how I should have been Silk Spectre. This is at least 2 or 3 hours of this Romeo following me around. Well, somehow I managed to lose him and I end up asking this beefy old dude if he minds that I take the unoccupied chair at his table since my hips and legs are acting up. Half an hour later we're chatting and having a good old time when my Romeo shows up. Romeo looks at me. Romeo looks at beefy old guy. Beefy old guy looks at me, and I guess I must look scared or creeped out or something because beefy old guy just stands up and leans real close to Romeo's face and says, "Can I help you with something?" Romeo leaves. I eventually get up and walk away when the table gets busy. Glance at the banner above the table as I walk away. Beefy old guy was Lou Ferrigno.
You were saved by the original live-action Hulk. That is too awesome. I dressed as Junkrat for a con. At the time I had no idea how many kids played Overwatch. So for the entire day all I got was 10-year-olds shouting references and wanting photos with me and their parents giving me strange looks. That sounds kind of cute to be honest, but yeah, the glares from the parents, ouch, that'd make you nervous, which incidentally might make you pull off the character better. Junkrat is pretty twitchy and nervous after all.
Was cosplaying Black Cat from Spider-Man. It was a very tight and form-fitting costume and I opted not to wear underwear because you could very clearly see the lines in the costume if I did. Had a guy come up behind me and unzip my suit, which wouldn't have been so bad if the zipper didn't go all the way down to the bottom of my ass. For about 10 seconds my pale back and ass was very much exposed.
That's 100% not okay.
You are 100% correct.
Please tell me security at least did something to that guy.
The security there was non-existent. It was just staff, mostly female, and nothing was done. It was a cute little con, in its first year I think. They didn't know what to expect and it probably wasn't that.
I witnessed a Padal Bear cosplay throw a little girl over his shoulder and run off. Little girl was fine but later told me in the group we'd been dancing with she didn't know the guy. So that's pretty, yeah. It was probably some idiot being in character for laughs. That said, he's lucky he didn't get keyed. Jesus dude, you're going to pretend to kidnap a child?
At Anime Mitsuri last month, I was cosplaying as Prompto with my friend as Noctis. A much younger Noctis cosplayer, they looked to be about 13 to 14, whereas we're in our mid-20s, came up to us and said their Prompto really wanted to meet us. We followed this Noctis cosplayer over to their group of friends, introduced ourselves to the other Prompto, took some selfies, had some laughs. Apparently, the kids felt super comfortable around us, because they then proceeded to pull out their sketchbooks and show us the explicit fan art they'd drawn while loudly describing each pornographic scene in detail. Needless to say, my friend and I exchanged a look of abject horror and hightailed it out of there, torn between feeling utterly skeevy and biting down the urge to call their mothers. Obviously, there are kids who wander into the NSFW side of fandom. I'm sure we all had our instances of saying we were 18 plus when prompted to on AFF, Net, LJ, etc. back in the day. But to have literal children showing me the porn they drew in real life was positively jarring.
Every day we stray further from God's light. Only the dead can know peace from this evil.
I cosplayed Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show at a Comic-Con about a year ago. I had a lot of pleasant interactions with other cosplayers during the day. Lots of "ooh, I love that movie, hey, do the time warp" sort of conversations. A few people hit on me. I'm a woman in fishnets and a corset at a Comic-Con. That was expected. Nothing too weird or uncomfortable. And then there was this one dude and his friend. They kept following me around, talking to me about weirdly personal topics, and getting far too handsy. Eventually I started to get nervous, so I excused myself to the bathroom. I just wanted to distance myself from them a little. As I go to leave, the guy goes, "Wait, before you go, can I get a picture?" "Okay. Fine. Just take a photo then leave me alone." So the guy grabs me, picks me up, throws me over his shoulder so my ass is sticking up in the air, in fishnets and bikini bottoms, and his buddy takes a picture. Then he drops me back on the ground, and the two guys take off. It all happened in about 10 seconds, so I barely had time to react. Some guy dressed as Deadpool helped me up and walked me to the security booth to report the guys, but nothing ever came of it. So weird, cringy, and terrifying. I don't cosplay Frank anymore.
I have never had to use Google so much in one thread. Few years back my then girlfriend was cosplaying Chell from Portal at a con. It was mostly great, everyone and their mom wanted a photo with her. Except this one guy who decided to grill her on how much she really knew about Portal. He was looking at her like he'd just found a unicorn, but she was pissed as hell that some stranger thought she needed to prove herself to him. I think he thought he was flirting.
There is the fake geek girl thing that comes up with some guys. I get grilled on Batman lore when I wear any of my Batman shirts, even just around town. It's strange. "Oh my god, you're such a fake gamer girl. I bet you only play video games as a hobby or means of entertainment, as opposed to building an unhealthy amount of your identity around them to the point where you feel a sense of entitlement to the community and treat people who enjoy it differently as a personal affront. Like as real gamers." So I went to my first con a few years ago. I wasn't brave enough to dress up, so I wanted to take pics, etc. I saw a really amazing Doctor Who cosplay, so I asked him for a hug and pic. He was really enthusiastic about it and we had a pic ready to go until I heard a gruff "Hurry up, other people want a hug too." This large middle-aged lady in a tight-ass tank top was giving us this glare. Legit, the cosplayer went from happy to miserable as soon as we took a pic. Like, holy cow, the cosplayers aren't props, they're people. Don't demand physical contact, you have to ask. He definitely didn't give up a hug for her. This year I'll be doing a dress-up cosplay and I hope that I'll be fine.
Thank you for watching that video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like and comment some of your cringy cosplay moments. Also feel free to share my best Sherlock Holmes impression with some of your friends.
Oh my god. What the hell was that?
Yeah. That's right. Robots cosplay too. Bye and see you in the next video.